Breaking. Chief of Staff of Iranian Armed Forces. Mohammad Bagheri killed by Israeli attack, state TV reports. Major General Mohammad Bagheri, the Chief of Staff of Iran's armed forces, was killed by Israeli strikes, Iran's state TV Iran reported. Bagheri, Iran's highest-ranking military officer, is the second senior figure known to have been killed by Israel's unprecedented attack on Iran in the early hours of Friday. Multiple Iranian state media outlets reported earlier on Friday that General Hossein Salami, the commander-in-chief of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, was killed in Israel's overnight strikes. Iran's armed forces spokesperson, Brigadier General Abolfazl Shekarchi, warned that Tehran would retaliate after Israel's strikes, saying that the U.S. and Israel would both pay dearly, despite Washington's assertions that it had not been involved. The Islamic Republic of Iran will definitely retaliate, and the enemy will pay a heavy price, Shekarchi told Iranian state media IRNA. Israel and the U.S. will pay dearly and will be dealt a harsh blow, he said. He said residential areas had been hit in the strikes and that armed forces are on the ground at full readiness. Iran's Revolutionary Guard has confirmed the death of Hossein Salami, one of the country's most powerful and influential military commanders, in Israel's strikes on Friday. Without a doubt, Major General Salami was one of the most distinguished commanders of the Islamic Revolution, present on all fronts of scientific, cultural, security, and military jihad, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said. In all arenas, he stood at the front lines with a spirit of sincerity, wisdom, and devotion to the supreme leader, defending the ideals of the revolution and the Iranian people, the statement said. The IRGC said its command structure and other branches of the military were fully prepared to deliver a decisive and harsh response. The IRGC is an elite wing of the Iranian military that was established in the aftermath of the country's revolution in 1979. The unit, which includes ground forces, naval and air forces, as well as intelligence and special forces, has been at the forefront of Iran's military operations in the region. Their primary role is internal security, but experts say that the group, considered Iran's dominant military force, assist Iran's regular army with external defense and the key liaison with Iran-loyal proxy militias in the region. Iran's former national security chief Ali Shamkhani has been killed in Israel's strikes on Iran, according to Iranian state media. The assassination of Ali Shamkhani was also confirmed, Iranian state news network IRIN said on Friday. Shamkhani was a key advisor to Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei and served as secretary of the nation's National Security Council for almost a decade. Shamkhani had been a rising star of Iranian diplomacy and well known in diplomatic circles in Washington and Europe. But he was abruptly replaced in mid-2023, with analysts suggesting at the time he may have been viewed as too ambitious by Khamenei. On Wednesday ahead of the strikes, the U.S. withdrew many non-essential personnel and their families from locations around the Middle East. Officials did not say what specifically prompted the move, but a defense official said U.S. Central Command was monitoring developing tension in the Middle East. President Donald Trump and senior White House officials were expecting the Israeli strikes on Iran Thursday night, two sources familiar with the matter told CNN. After the strikes, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said there was no U.S. involvement or assistance in the attack. CNN Global Affairs analyst Brett McGurk, who served as Middle East coordinator in the Biden White House, said any Iranian response to Israel's attack could be set back by the death of its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' commander-in-chief, General Hossein Salami, and other top military leadership. Asked by CNN's Caitlin Collins if Iran could strike back quickly, McGurk said Iran is capable of massive retaliation. He pointed out that last October 1st, Iran fired 200 ballistic missiles at Israel, though most were intercepted by Israeli, U.S., and partner air defenses. Once they are set, they can launch in about 5-minute intervals, barrages of about 30 missiles apiece, McGurk said. The Iranian missiles take about 13 minutes to reach Israel, he said, and because of ballistic missile trajectories, there is only a small window where they are vulnerable to interception, he said. I think they will try to do something like that, the October 1st attack, in scale, McGurk said. Whether or not they can pull it off if they're in some disarray remains to be seen, he said. Iran's ability to retaliate against Israel for Friday's attacks largely depends on its ballistic missile force. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force has more than 100 medium-range ballistic missile launchers able to send projectiles with a range of more than 1,000 kilometers, enough to strike Israel, according to the Military Balance 2025 report from the International Institute for Strategic Studies, IISS. Iran's missile force has solid-fueled missiles and liquid-fueled ballistic missiles. The liquid-fueled missiles carry the heavier high-explosive warheads of 1,200 kilograms or more, compared with about 500 kilograms in the liquid-fueled missiles, according to fact sheets from the Missile Threat Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. But the advantage of solid-fueled missiles is that they can be launched almost immediately, while fueling a liquid-fueled missile can take hours. Ballistic missiles fired from Iran can reach Israel in about 15 minutes. Iran also has a range of drones and cruise missiles that can reach Israel, but they can take a few hours or more to reach a target at that distance, carry smaller warheads, and are more vulnerable to Israeli air defenses. Last October, Iran launched about 200 ballistic missiles and drones against Israel, but most were shot down by Israeli defenses and U.S. and partner countries, which helped protect Israel during the attacks. Israel reported only minor damage from the Iranian missiles and drones that made it past the Israeli defenses. The Iranian Air Force has 265 combat-capable aircraft, according to the Military Balance report. But most of those are aging Cold War-era, U.S.-made fighter jets that would require air-to-air refueling to reach Israel, and Iran has fewer than 5 refueling planes, according to the IISS publication. Israel carried out what it called a deception operation in the days leading up to its unprecedented strikes, aimed at making the Iranian leadership and the Israeli public believe there would be no attack, an Israeli official has told CNN. The official said the operation included the deception of media and political commentators and thus managed to surprise Iran. They said the plan had only a few secret partners, and that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office had distributed announcements and briefings aimed at influencing discourse in Iran and Israel. Despite the apparent campaign, U.S. intelligence warnings that an Israeli strike was imminent began to be reported by U.S. media on Thursday, following comments from President Donald Trump and a U.S. State Department decision to move non-essential staff from embassies in Iraq and around the Middle East. Israel's strike on Iran was premature, as the Trump administration had been engaging in diplomatic efforts with Iran over the past several months. Former U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price said, "It's premature because diplomacy had not run its course. There was a window in which the administration had to potentially find a way to a diplomatic off-ramp here," he said. Price said that window was due to close in September, when the matter would be referred to the United Nations Security Council. That window was not closing today. That window would not close tomorrow, but by undertaking this operation today, Prime Minister Netanyahu has very solidly shut that window, he said. Jordan has said it will not tolerate any violation of its airspace, insisting that the kingdom will not be a battleground for any conflict, hours after Israel struck nuclear and military targets in Iran. The country's national security is a red line, and it will not allow any attempt to threaten its security and the safety of its citizens, government spokesperson Mohammad Momani said in a statement reported by Petra, the state news agency. He did not specify further details. The statement is an echo of government comments made in April 2024, after Jordan intercepted Iranian drones and missiles headed for Israel. The small kingdom sits between Israel and the West Bank on one side, and Iran's neighbor Iraq on the other. The April 2024 attack was retaliation to a suspected Israeli assault on Iran's diplomatic building in Damascus, Syria. Jordan's interceptions were widely criticized at home. The government later said they were intended to protect citizens and residential areas. Jordan became the second Arab country to sign a peace deal with Israel in 1994. In the eyes of Israel's Western allies, it has been vital to regional security. It has close intelligence and security cooperation with Israel, hosts American troops, and is reliant on United States military aid. At the heart of Israel's strikes on Iran is Tehran's controversial nuclear program. Tehran says it wants to master nuclear technology for peaceful purposes and has denied accusations by Western powers that it is seeking to develop nuclear weapons. The UN's nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has long accused Iran of violating its non-proliferation obligations. On Thursday, for the first time in almost 20 years, the IAEA passed a resolution declaring Iran in breach of those obligations. The original deal, U.S. intelligence agencies and the IAEA believe Iran had a secret, coordinated nuclear weapons program that it halted in 2003. Iran denies ever having had one. Under a 2015 nuclear deal, Iran was allowed to enrich uranium only up to 3.67% purity, could maintain a stockpile of uranium of 300 kilograms, and was permitted to use only very basic IR-1 centrifuges, machines that spin uranium gas at high speed for enrichment purposes. A year after U.S. President Donald Trump withdrew the U.S. from the deal, Iran gradually abandoned all limits it put on the program and began enriching uranium to up to 60% purity, a short, technical step away from weapons-grade levels of 90%. U.S. sanctions have dealt a heavy blow to Iran's economy, but have not destroyed it. Israel's assassinations in recent years of top Iranian officials, including a preeminent nuclear scientist, have also failed to curb Iran's uranium enrichment. Iran has said its right to enrich uranium is non-negotiable. An IAEA report in May, seen by Reuters, found that Iran carried out secret nuclear activities with material not declared to the nuclear watchdog at 3 locations that have long been under investigation. A separate IAEA report sent to member states in late May said Iran's stock of 60% purity enriched uranium had grown to 408 kilograms. That is enough, if enriched further, for 9 nuclear weapons, according to an IAEA yardstick.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.